Good morning. I'm glad that the diocese has come together to put together this service, and I'd like to talk with you about the scriptures. But before I get to it, let me back up a little bit and give you some background that may help all of us understand what has taken place. If you remember last Sunday, we talked about the road to Emmaus. Jesus is walking along, but they don't recognize him as Jesus. And then he breaks bread with them that night, and it becomes clear who he is. But then he again disappears from them, goes back to Jerusalem, and the disciples go to Jerusalem and begin to talk with the other disciples about what they have seen and experienced of this Christ that they thought had died. And so today, Jesus, again, is teaching them. Now remember, this is all brand new to the diocese. To the disciples. We have had so many thousands of years to get used to Jesus being with us. The disciples had just a few days to understand. And so today's reading, Jesus begins with, then he said to them, "These are the words that I spoke to you while I was still with you, that everything written about me in the law of Moses, the prophets, and the Psalms must be fulfilled." He is reminding them that the story of Jesus began a long time ago. It began in the beginning. And he is teaching them, these are the things that the prophets said about the Messiah, and these are the things that have come to fruition. And they began to understand little by little. And then he continues. Then he opened their mind to understand the scriptures. And he said to them, "Thus it is written that the Messiah is to suffer and to rise from the dead on the third day, and that repentance and forgiveness of sins is to be proclaimed in his name to all nations, beginning from Jerusalem. You are witnessing of these things. And see, I am sending upon you what my Father promised, to stay here in the city until you have been clothed with power on high." Again, Jesus is trying to prepare them that when Jesus is no longer present, that they do understand his mission to go into the world to proclaim forgiveness, to bring hope to, and to heal. And that is the mission of the church. That is the mission that you and I share as baptized Christians, to go into the world to give hope, to forgive, to be the light of Christ as we are taught in so many ways. And so Jesus ascends to heaven. And what that means is Jesus, in the beginning, when he comes to us, as John tells us, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. The Word was God. The Word is God. The Word is Jesus, who has come to us to experience with us the brokenness, the heartaches, the sorrow, the pain, and the suffering. And then Jesus takes all of that upon himself in the crucifixion when he is nailed to the cross, but then defeats death. And so sitting at the right hand of God that we say in the Creed is Jesus, who has experienced everything that you and I have experienced and gives life to us. We have someone, an advocate on our behalf, who can say, who can understand, who can be with all of us in our brokenness. In these days of difference, in the days of the virus, we have an advocate who understands our frustrations, our loneliness, our need to begin again. We hear often that we want to go back to having the Eucharist. We want to go back to what was normal. I think what we thought was normal is no longer. There is a new normal. And Jesus kind of points to that when he comes and he teaches us something new. And then we have that newness to live into. So as we make our way in this time of the virus, things are changing like they were changing with the disciples. So we have to ask ourselves, how will we move forward? But Jesus says we do it one step at a time. That's what he taught us when he was here. I read not long ago, I'm not sure where I got it either, but put one foot in front of the other, and soon you are walking across the floor. Put one foot in front of the other, and soon you are walking out the door. My friends, the old is no longer. There is newness in resurrection. And that's what Jesus is trying to get us to understand. And it is one step at a time, across the floor, and then out the door. Let us have courage to look to the future, one step at a time. God bless you.